your brake.
All right, one of the buttons I gotta change is this. One of the buttons I gotta change is that. Another button I gotta change is that. A bit of static in here tonight. That should be on. This should be on. Let's refresh that.
Yeah, bet you Sacramento. Yeah, bet 918.
All right.
316.
Where did it go?
And this is also working.
Down on top. 918. Now up.
I think you're on this one. Great. KB6GST. Thanks.
Yep, this is working. K6UFY.
That's right. Give yourself your own radio check. All right. Stand by.
918 in the mean machine. That mean machine's doing its thing down under. Mr. Mudda got a good grip on you there. 918, you have a good day, Mr. Mudda.
Oh, I just heard somebody call from Mud Duck, so that must be my cue.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
All right. One of everything is perfect. I think that's working. Let me adjust my headphonium volume here because I'm hearing it too hot. The Old Tube Radio Network trying to beacon through the mini grass and down under and a little bit of over, sideways, down and through. Hello, radio from the Old Tube Radio Network in Central California, where we will be in short order. Talking about, and checking out those tube radios of yesteryear, at least when they were brand new anyway. The 1958, when it started, the Class D 11-meter citizen radio service. It is now 2023, and those tube radios, like the classic automobiles, are still driving around on your CB radio, and we will talk to some of the operators and listen to some of those tube radios tonight. So thank you for joining us tonight with that. I'm going to get rid of the Nixie tubes. If you're watching us at oldtuberadio.net, there is a live link. Audio is going on there. There is a link to the YouTube video, which I think is up. Hello, radio. And, of course, the place to be, live and direct, here on Channel 11-27085. Since there is a lot of skip, a lot of noise going on, let me see if there are stations out there that need to get checked in, if they can hear me, and I will get you now, and you can go about your business. But thanks for joining us. OTR listening for the any early SWL check-ins. Over.
Break channel.
Go ahead. Over.
Dennis, Pinedale Control 650, please.
All right, 650, you are sounding good. I think Pinedale had their, was it 100th anniversary? There was some type of celebration going on. So if you're still celebrating, great. If not, have a great evening.
10-4, thank you. Yes, and I actually met the mayor of Pinedale. I bought a truck from her here a year ago, so she's a very nice lady.
Indeed. All right, sounding good. We've got you checked in. Anybody else? We've got also 61. Mr. Copenhagen Kid was also in, so I will get him checked in. Anybody else need a check-in here for, what is it, April 15th, 2023? Over. Well, it is trying to quiet down, so we'll see what's going on tonight. Another great day, great spring day in the Central Valley. Temperatures got up to about 78 degrees, at least around in this area here, so hope everybody was able. A lot of people out. I had to go out a little bit, and there was a lot of people out, a lot of cars driving around, so people are starting to break out of the mold and do the things that they want. The National Association of Broadcasters, NAB, is happening in Las Vegas this weekend, so I don't know if anybody attends that. All the broadcasters, radio, TV, cable, things of that nature meet once a year to find out all the latest and greatest in that area, but we meet here every Saturday to find out the latest and greatest. On the roll call tonight, 00 is up there in Coarse Gold, who may or may not be hearing me. Jim, are you out there?
00 checking in, Dennis. Boy, you're sounding good up here.
All right. You say that as if you're surprised. I'm surprised as well. Thanks for checking in, and you're doing the bookends again, so we'll catch you on the end.
10-4 there, Dennis. Thank you.
Let me grab my special numbers here. So 00 is in from the Cosmic World, SWL1. And I have been so busy, I haven't even sat down in the air chair to see who is out on the video side. Is Mr. OB? Yes, OBP is there. So say hello to Kevin if you show up in the video chat and tell him thank you for organizing this thing and putting it all together long ago. We've got a proxy check in for Rob. SWL3 is probably doing some business with the Clovis Amateur Radio Pioneers. Over to SWL5. Rainmaker is in from the Hudson Valley of New York. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hope all is well out that way. Let's go to Mr. Ed, SWL7.
SWL7 checking in.
Checking in, sounding good. The bands have been not too bad. I'm surprised that the skip has gone away as quickly as it did. Even it's still there, but not anything like it was last week. Sounding good. If you are in the radio room later, we've got a space for you.
Oh, thank you.
And OBP saying we're down to 71. It is warm. It is warm in the radio room. I just wondered, we don't have the... Checking with the crew here, we do not have the air conditioning or whatever it is they put on yet. So it's the equipment is. I think we'll be okay. I'm scared to open the window because we do have a nice breeze, but I don't want it to. I didn't change microphoniums out like I said I was going to. So it might cause some malfeasance into the condenser microphonium. Idaho's looking good. Chrissy, hello. I had my friend who lives near Boise text me a picture that said they had some snow actually today, but he said everything melted off by the end of the day. So you're still waiting for spring-like weather, no doubt, but we got you checked in. SWL 11 and SWL 12, Dan, or Cornbread and Dapper Dan, who are joining us tonight. I have not checked. My Dapper, it looks pretty good tonight. The suit is good. We have a pen. Do we have a pen? We have a pen tonight. The hair is combed, so I am catching up. Beware there, SWL 12. I'm catching up to you, but not quite yet. So Dan is in, and Dapper Dan is in. SWL 13.
SWL 14 checking in from Sanger.
All right, 14 sounding good from Sanger. I can actually hear you out there tonight through the noise, such that it is. So perhaps we will, if you are in the radio room, get a radio or two tonight. Thanks for checking in. 14 over. All right, and the skip is coming back up. I'll keep an eye out for SWL 13. She usually checks in over at alt2radio.net, which you can do very easily. I'll also say hello to some of our other stations that are checking us tonight. Let's see, Green with Envy, Homestead. The UDX 358, saying hello radio, hello to you. Thanks for joining us over on the video side. Ben Hur Trucking, You is saying hello, radio. One and the same, perhaps. Next we have Charlie, who's right here, and thank you very much. Yeah, you saw me run in. All right, he's handed me. What is this? Oh man, that's good. Whatever it is. Tangerine. All right, tangerine juice from the green room. Thank you, Charlie. We've got you checked in. Way out there. You've got a long arm from Anoka, Minnesota. SWL 17. Mudbucket UDX 483 is in. Charlie says tasty. I agree. It's pretty nice. SWL 18 from the Facebook, Mr. KDA. And SWL 19 from Derby, New York. Chet is in on the cue cards tonight, doing a good job as always. So if I mess up, it is because I'm not paying attention. All right, did you get some? Okay, it looks like everybody's got the tangerine juice tonight. Did somebody come by? Well, how did we get this? That's good. I will make sure I get some more. Let's go over to the west side for Harvey.
Yep, I'm here. Please check me in. Also 29 and 54. And I'll be working next week on Saturday, so you might need to proxy me in.
Okay, if I need to, I will do that. Probably do that, and then if you make it back in time or we hear you on the crossband, which is up. I think my Echo Link is up tonight. I had to change how I was doing Echo Link. I see Tony in there, so we'll see. It may or it may not work. I don't know. I would not recommend doing a mobile Echo Link for sure. So we'll got you checked in tonight. You are sounding really good, actually, nice and loud. We'll talk about any radios and items of interest you might have coming up when we start glowing in the dark. Thanks for checking in.
Okay. Catch you later.
Next is Mr. JT, the guy that sits in the air chair for Old Radio Night in South Carolina from the Wasama Swamps. I was trying to bring up the video, and it just doesn't want to lock up. So I don't know if he may still be on. Are you still on the air? Is that what's happening? And it says stream 2, but I wanted to get a picture. He's got a great picture, and the radio he had tonight was apropos for what we do around here. He was on the General Super MC 11A, General Radio Telephone Super MC 11A. So if the video comes up, I will refer back to that, because I want to see if we've got some picture of that. So Mr. JT out of Wasama Swamps. Probably still on. That's what's not booting up. Let's go to SWL 22. Anyway, stopping. Tyler might be listening to us from his radio room in Anchorage, AK295. Don't see him on the big board, and I do have the Echo Link up and not there, so not a problem. We'll get him checked in when possible. Next, 23 Skidoo, who asked me to proxy him in, might be in tonight. He is, I think he's doing some promotional bit with Espresso Trucking Company, probably making sure that they don't get kicked out of their next venue. They are due here, due back here for some live stuff in, I don't know, not too distant future. So we'll make sure that they are, when they come in, we'll get them on the air for you. Let's go to SWL 24. Let me get a proxy check in for Joseph. SWL 25. And the link is, but you know why? Thanks, Richard, and we'll get you checked in. I think what happened is I had to change where I have the Echo link, and I bet it's not set up for multiple connects. So if I get a chance to actually go there and tell it to have more than one or two connections, that would be, I'm on some type of proxy server, and it may not allow me, you know what, it may not allow me to have, I'm just checking, it may not allow me to have more than one connection at a time. So we'll see how that works. Okay. Over to page 2, looking for SWL 27.
27's checking in via the FM crossband.
Okay, and the crossband is up and working. There's our first check-in. We will have more. Should have more on the crossband. I hear you great. Sounding good from Studio G, I think it is. And thanks for stopping by tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network, KB6GFD.
Roger. Thanks, Dennis. KI6QL.
All right, we're doing good. I've got to check. I've got so many items on my screen now, it is hard to pick up everything. Let me check the audio coming in from the receiver. All right, I think we're okay. I turned the control room volume down. There are so many things. There are so many things to remember. Dwayne is in, so if I can find my board, we'll update the list of possible stations out there tuning in. And things are running slow. Hopefully, I'm not part of that the slowdown mix. SWL 28. I see Gary on the line with us there. I'll get you officially checked in on the big board here and find out what's going in Sacramento. 28 is checking in, just got out of the jacuzzi, and he feels looser than cream corn. Well, don't try any driving. Get yourself into the favorite air chair with some, try some of this. It's good. It's tangerine juice. And what did Soupy Sales used to say? It is so good, it'll make your brains fall out. Thank you for joining us tonight from Sacramento. And on with the show. I agree. We've got a check-in for Mr. Loner. Thank you for that, Harvey. And Dwayne, SWL 30, who is sitting. He's got the Robins fired up. He's got the Eagle fired up. He may have some other radios fired up, waiting for that opening into the Central Valley of California, which just might happen. You never know. Never know tonight. I know, I think they heard Australia last night and in the Ditchbanks sideband net. Not sure we got any of the West Coast skip, but we're always ready to go. SWL 31, SWL 32, SWL 33, myself, Bozo Control, and anybody that happens to wander in willy-nilly into the Old Tube Radio Network foray here. SWL 34, I'll give Jimmy a proxy check-in. We were going to try last week, and we had some uplink issues, downlink issues, to see if we can't get Jim in direct. We will try and get set up for that again this week. Again, you never know where the satellite's going to be, but if he shows up and he can do it, we might actually talk to Jimmy on his radio, or he will talk to us on his radio. Let's put it that way. We'll hear what he's got. Over to my other item of interest, and let me refresh the comments. I hope it's actually working for a comment refresh. Hey, there it is. There's SWL 13. I know that's working. 24 is in. All right, it was working. It just wasn't telling me. So let's get Joe checked in, 24. We'll also get 13 checked in. Hello, radio. And I was specifically looking for 35, Mr. Bill. Getting him proxy check in, but he should be coming in from beautiful Cheyenne, Wyoming. So That's in. And I left off at SWL 36. SWL 37. I'll give Chris a check-in. I can't remember if he wanted to proxy. I think he's doing some remodeling or something. So, Chris, if you are listening but can't get into the radio area, we've got you checked in.
Go ahead and proxy, Chris. And I just got up off this chair and was headed to the kitchen. I heard 37. Yeah, they're just finishing up the kitchen. He asked me to proxy him in. Okay, good. I will do that. Very exciting. I know his radio room is just around the corner, so maybe they've spiffied up the radio room. Otherwise, then all the junk, they're taking out of the kitchen is probably sitting on top of the air chair, and so he has to wait until it's all done. Anyway, we got him checked in. Thanks for that. All right.
And Dwayne is saying that he got a chance to talk to 21 general to general tonight. I tuned in early when I was actually sitting here to see if I was able to hear the general radio telephone that was on his item tonight. And you know what? I was not able to hear that. So I'm calling up the stream. I think he's still live. Yeah, there it is right now.
It's working now.
Yeah, he's still live. So let me tune in. Let me go over to. I got to get the right thing here. And there is what's going on Old Radio Night. That is a thing of beauty. There's the audio. There's the Super MC11A if you're watching the video. And it sounds like they've got all sorts of items going on. So I'll leave that up. So if JT is listening in, have him take a transmission, sir. Take a transmission. Say hello to our Old Tube Radio Network gang. He's got the black cat.
Is it working?
It's working. I don't know what a black cat is.
Again?
It's not Halloween.
Let me know something.
The GRT logo.
Going again. Maybe I got it. I don't know. I'm checking it out to see if it's still going.
Oh, 2 parts tonight. All right.
Let's see here. There's OBP. Okay.
Audio from Old Radio Night Live out of the Wasama Swamps. And
yeah, I got it from California there, OBP. I don't think the guys on Old Tube Radio Network, but how's it going, man? Had to have an adapter made. Harvey helped me with the adapter. Figure it out. I had a guy make it for me, and I give him the wrong information. It's off of Sam's Photofact, but it wasn't right. I'll be right back. I got to turn my air compressor off. I forgot to have it on yesterday, and it's cutting on and making noise. I'll be right back.
Well, there you go. A live audio from the general radio telephone on Old Radio Night out of Wasama Swamps. Thanks, JT, and the radio looks good. Back here on the West Coast, the Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's Glowing in the Dark coming up. Maybe something like that general radio telephone Super MC11A looking for SWL 38. I always take a pause because I know Sam gives it a shot. If you can get into that backscatter, occasionally I will hear Motormouth Mall on the backscatter, but you got to have some power and a big beam to do that. Let's try SWL 39, SWL 40. Let's see, contact was close to the end of the first segment. See, I don't think the first segment has showed up yet because it keeps showing me number 2 on the replay. So that'll be something to hear. Dwayne, Dwayne may be the first person to actually contact live both of the East Coast and West Coast Saturday Live nets that go on. Not only, and not being in the local area of either of them. That should be some type of award right there. Let's go to SWL 41. That's the ubiquitous radio operator for sure. I know how that is when you get those dropouts and have to go over everything. Let's try SWL 42. And I will check the chat as I go along to see if there's some stations that like to get checked in early and they leave a note at the beginning, and I will make sure that I look for those. We got to check in for Mr. Crazy Eddie, SWL 44. Listening in for Ray. He was big last night on the, sounding good on Ditchbank's sideband last night. I don't know if we did some FM. I listened in, but I didn't really go in and say a lot. Let's try Paul up in Northport, SWL 45. SWL 45, Paul. SWL 46. Shortwave listener 47.
Well, good evening from the radio lounge. This is SWL 47. Enjoying sitting in the air chair. Buffalo Bob Smith is over in the corner enjoying some Ovaltine, listening to the show. And life is good, talking on an old tube radio.
Life is always good when you get your old tube radio working, especially on a Saturday night. You will probably be sharing that with us and the shortwave listeners coming up. So I will let you get a few chores done, and you'll get back into the air chair, and we will hear more from that radio. Sounding good tonight, and it was a great day.
Thanks, sir.
SWL 48. SWL 49. SWL 50. Somewhere around Sangertown, SWL 51.
SWL 51, checking in.
Sounding good. I think I heard you last night on the Ditch Bank. Sounding good with no carrier and one less sideband, and sounding twice as good with the carrier and the upper sideband added to it. Thanks for checking in.
It was really, I couldn't hear you at all. That skip coming in really big time, but today I could hear you out there. Anyways, take it easy. Have a good evening.
All right. Thanks for joining us. The Old Tube Radio Network, SWL. Let's see. We should have a crossband check-in, maybe. Let's try it. Yeah, SWL 52. And there is Mr. Aaron. Let me say hello, radio. Thanks for the radio check earlier, and I've got you checked in now. KB6GFD.
Very good, Dennis. Yeah, good evening, everybody. From behind the golden microphone, SWL 52. Currently holding a 2-year-old baby. Actually, a 2-month-old. Is she going to say anything? No, she's not going to say anything. K6USY.
All right. See, people come into the radio room when they're on duty. When they have their chores happening, they just bring them into the radio room and take a transmission. That's the way we like it. All right. Well, sounding good, Aaron. Thanks for joining us. And he might be behind. We'll call it. We'll hope he's behind the golden microphone and the golden diaper as well. Let's go to SWL 53.
Good evening there, Dennis. I hope you can hear me. 53, Bel Air the Legend, checking in, and I want to say howdy to Jay Bird on the Bluetooth, and I'm back by 73.
All right. I'm sure they heard you beaconing across the Central Valley here, and then across your Universal Media Net web at oldtuberadio.net and the YouTube link up. Thanks for joining us live and direct tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Page 3 is where we are at, getting a check-in for SWL 54 and calling for SWL 55.
55, checking in.
All right on time at the microphonium. M&M, I've got you with the X and the square. Thanks for joining us. Over.
Thank you.
A little bit closer to home, SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net.
Sounding good. We've got you checked in. Thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network. I will get 79 checked in because Phil, Mr. DC, Phil just got in, and I don't want it to scroll away and forget that you are there. And while I'm doing that, I will get also 78 out of Wild Wildemar. I did manage to get on 40 meters this afternoon, and the signals were good. They were good most of the day. They've been really good at night. And speaking of that, we had a crossband check-in from 40 meters, which we will be getting to shortly. SWL 57, Mr. Brown Dog Audio, Central Kentucky, right there, saying hello, radio. Another long Saturday in the shop. Took a break, working on radios today. Decided to work on the shop truck. We've got to have some way to take those radios somewhere. The truck's got a 1971 Toyota Hilux pickup. Wow. There aren't many of those around. Restoration project. And back in 1971, they were probably even rare just to be in the U.S. But Toyota, and now in 2023, that'll be a cool thing to be driving around. And maybe you put a antenna on top. So hope the projects keep going and go well. Mr. BDA saying happy weekend. Have a good weekend to everybody. And 73 from Central Kentucky. Let's go to SWL 59. Actually, I'll say SWL 58. Is Jeremy around? I'll get him proxied in. Sometimes he comes into town, but I don't think he's in town this weekend. Now, here's somebody who's in town just about everywhere. Uncle Hairball from, earlier on Old Radio Night, right here, right now, as Motormouth Mall would say, on the Old Tube Radio Network. Uniform Delta X-Ray 786 is checking in, and he's got a check. I will put a check mark. We can put an X, we can put check, we can put circles, squares, anything that says you are checked in, which it does. Let's go to shortwave listener 60.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis, and evening time to all the fellas out there on the barn. SWL 60 checking in.
Hey, sounding good doing it. The skip is going away, but you never know. You've got plenty of power to get through it if it comes back. We'll look for you if you're in the radio room with some of our favorite radios. Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis.
61 checked in earlier at the net from out near Madera Town. And I think it's time. The tangerine juice is good. There's a little booth out in the green room along the other stuff. We're going to find out from Bob and Steve what is going on. Also, speaking about 40 meters, the voodoo guy, Mr. Mac the Cat, the UQ Ultimate Queen Cynthia checking in from Lake Almanor. That's Alpha Lima, Mike Alpha November Oscar Romeo. That's that amateur radio speak, but not Lake Elsinore. Although SWL 78, I think, is from down around Lake Elsinore. 47.99. He's on sale. He was 4,800 last week. One of the voodoo, in fact, I would say he is the West Coast voodoo station. I don't think there's another station on the West Coast that has the true voodoo. And when you actually do have the true voodoo, you get the Voodoo Labs. There it is. You get the Voodoo Labs sticker. Mine is on loan because I'm not quite there yet, but maybe someday I'll be able to actually peel off the back and stick it onto something. But it's ready to be turned back in if I don't fulfill my duty to try and have a good audio whenever possible. And Mark reminds us from Lake Almanor that if you're not rattling the speakers, you don't have enough of that bass. You don't have enough of that boom, boom, boom. So thanks for joining us tonight, Mark, Mac, and Cynthia, if I don't mess up my microphone here. This is the Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radios Glowing in the Dark. We will be talking with those radios from 1958 to 1978 with the glow-in-the-dark tubes on your Class D 11-meter citizen radio service, something that we have been doing since the mid-1980s, and we're still going strong thanks to all of you listening in and taking time out of your evening to fire up the radios for all of us to hear. SWL 62. SWL 63. Is, let's see, calling Wisconsin, SWL 64. I will check some of the early posts here, because sometimes Craig, since he's way out there in Wisconsin, has to get in early. And what Mark is asking, is there vodka in the tangerine juice? No, there is not. I would know. Or would I know? I don't know. Well, if I don't know, tune back in at about 10 o'clock, and then it will be obvious what was in there besides the tangerine juice. Let's go to SWL 65. And I'll get a proxy in for 65. And Craig, thank you. Out there in Nine Land. I was actually hearing Wisconsin stations the other night, late on 40 meters. I think when it's a contest, they turn up the power and away they go. Let's try SWL 66. SWL 67. Out of New York, SWL 68, New York 157. Wanted to get checked in early, which we will do. A guy that used to frequent these parts and check into the old Tube Radio Network regularly, as he still does, on his remote base, mobile, whatever it is, from Tulsa, Oklahoma, SWL 69. So, Kenny, if you're watching, whether it's live or on the replay, how would you know? We will get you checked in. Thanks. Uncle Hairball saying his radio needs a new radio. What was that song? I need a new truck? Or something like that? Or was it something different? SWL 70. SWL 71. Let me go over to the comment page. See if we've got Dallas, Georgia in tonight. Oh, right there. Just got back from camping all week. Well, I wonder if you take some radios on that. Oh, yeah. Well, you answered my question, even before I asked it. It said, did a lot of POTA. That is Parks on the Air, where I said I had a blast doing it, where if you are a transmitting station like Stan, you will, what they call activate. You will go to, there's I think a chart of parks. I don't know if you actually have to be on the list or not, but you can go to a certain park, and it's area whatever. It's got a number. You activate that by going on the air with your portable setup, which is pretty cool. String your wire that you've made, or maybe your vertical, or I guess you could use a mobile antenna on your vehicle, but typically you're out battery powered perhaps. And so you activate that area, that park, and you get on your desired amateur radio frequency, call CQ, and the stations can answer you, and they can look at their chart and say, oh, there's an activation, and get another activation on their chart. So you actually help out the stations. I wouldn't call it a contest, but it's fun, and it gives the receiving station a chance to pick up an activation, and then it also gives you a chance to have some time on your radio in a portable situation. And like Stan said, quote unquote, had a blast doing it. That's POTA, Parks on the Air. There's also Summits on the Air. For those of you who don't mind high altitudes and have your hiking boots, you go to specific summits, higher altitudes that are in the list, and you activate those summits. It may be a little bit harder to haul the gear up that way, but I bet you will have a blast doing that as well. All right, Stan, very good. Sorry I didn't catch you. I will keep that in mind when I hear some POTA stations calling, and always put an ear out to see if it might be you. Just like Tony says, TOTA, TOTA. We are a TOTA station. We will be activating the tubes on the air coming up in a little bit, so stay tuned for that activation. Going over to SWL 72. SWL 73. SWL 74. Shortwave listener 75. SWL 77.
Go ahead and proxy Dennis.
I will do that. He must be a busy guy. I haven't heard much of him on any of the frequencies lately, so I hope he's not. I hope they're not overworking him, but they always do. Got it checked in.
Good. Proxy 72. Is that Radio Boy?
Yeah, it is Radio Boy. He was here live and direct last week. I'll put the proxy in. His radio was sounding good from the station, so I know it's working.
Yeah, I was talking to him on the phone here. Okay, thank you.
All right, then we'll get his CB activation on. I see Byron, California on the list. Hello, Sam. We get you checked in, put the box in the square. The skip is dying down a little bit, so I don't think you can do the 2,000-mile relay tonight. 78 and 79 checking in at Old Tube Radio video site. Thank you. Thank you, Richard and Philip. Let's go to SWL 80. Who's 33? Oh, that's 109. Okay. I know that station. Let me get you, since you're there, Crawdad. I will get you checked in right now. Sounding good, and thanks for the heads up on the radio. Not near a radio tonight. That's pretty cool, because when he is near a radio, we can always hear him quite well, and they hear him everywhere else too. Big station out there. So let me do that right now. 109. Are we, I'm just checking with Chet. Are we ready for the Bob and Steve show? Are they here tonight? I thought I saw, we've been doing stuff all week. Okay, yeah, they're okay. So let's go to the Jingle Singers first, so we can get everything set up for them, and then we should have the show open. All right, you are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network, where real radios will be glowing in the dark.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
And it is now time for that weekly feature.
27.085 OTR, Channel 11.
You know what they say, it's a feature, not a failure. It's never a failure. Episode 163, the Old Tube Radio Network on April 15th. Bob and Steve hanging around with us here tonight, keeping things alive and well and lively throughout the week. The Old Tube Radio Network, QTH, that's what I'll call it. The Jingle Singers have been doing the spring cleaning. I know I've been helping them move boxes, and we've got the shredder going and pulling weeds and finding all sorts of interesting stuff. The balcony walls got painted with some very bright colors. I can see up there, even with the lights down really dim up in the balcony, I can kind of see the reflections on the wall. I like that. They did a good job. It's got that. They have that good. You know, they use the expensive paint because it smells good. Bright colors, new carpet, shampooed all the seats. Not that they needed it, I hope, but they want to stay clean, and it looks great thanks to the Costco card. Well, I know Costco carries everything. Cleaning products, and I don't know if they have cleaning service. They have all those other services. Maybe that's who I saw. The golf simulator has been a big hit. Lines are long, and they love it. I was looking. That thing seems to use a lot of electricity, and I know you can't put that on the Costco card. The little kids that came by this week really enjoyed the Easter egg hunt. Yes, they did. I even got into that. We may have a few still in the yard. I just dodged one on the mower, on the little rotary motor. They were shooting out the little side. They didn't go in the back. They were shooting out the side, but they look colorful when they do. They also picked up, what was the radio this week? We picked up a Lafayette Telsat 924 made in 1972. I saw that in it's sort of turning into a museum out there in the green room with all the finds that Bob and Steve are coming with. 23-channel base station, very rare. It needs repair. It just hums. No audio, no transmit. Perhaps we can teach it the words, but as usual, and for any typical vintage or old tube radio, it looks good just sitting there, right on the shelf. So don't be afraid to have a non-working radio in your arsenal because it's impressive looking. You can say, well, I think it used to transmit. What do they say on eBay? It lights up. Just tell them that it lights up. At the bar tonight, Omaha Steaks. They're back again. Twice-baked Idaho potatoes. Our Idaho stations talking across to ORN. Will the Idaho stations be talking to us tonight? I don't know. But you'll have to drop your potato and pick up the microphone. Garden salad with a choice of dressing. Garden salad with a choice of dressing, coffee, and tea are on Bob and Steve. Thank you, Bob and Steve. And as always, don't forget to feed the fish. Back in a moment on the Old Tube Radio Network.
27.0850 TR Channel 11.
Yeah, running right on cue, boy. You see that bar hip, man? You got 40 DVs out here, man. I look down everywhere, man. Some of those bars, you said the 660.
Looks like our skip has gone to the gray line down under. All right, back in the studio, Old Tube Radio Network, Central California, oldtuberadio.net, streaming live. And roll call, page 4, SWL 81, got a proxy check-in for 81. SWL 82.
You enjoyed the day, quick.
I've got a check-in from 82 on 40 meters. Did a crossband check-in earlier, and he was sounding really good. 40 meters is that strange band where we're ground wave here on 11. You go to 40, and the signal kind of fades in and out as it goes from skywave to ground wave. So I've got Ron checked in. Check him out. And the gang on sideband Friday nights at 8 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time on channel 36 lower for the Ditch Banks sideband net, won't you? SWL 83. We got a proxy check-in for SWL 84, SWL 86, SWL 87, and SWL 88. Cheerios Kid, Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and the Snowy Owl, respectively.
Yeah, it's all right, man. I've been trying to cover you and just snap out of it, Max, love. Max, man, I'm getting too old for it.
Trying to look at my chart here. SWL 89.
You're doing your thing, the big old man, right.
SWL 90. SWL 91. Out of Bronx, somewhere around there in New York. SWL 91. Felix, of course, checking in, saying hello to all the shortwave listeners. And our Old Tube radio operators coming up in just moments. Thank you, Felix.
Hey, man, I needed some eggs or something. Kept me getting eggs and bacon or something around, man. Soon I need, man.
And Dwayne says they like their taters. We got the best recipe from Chrissy using the tater tots. Was that the first one? I have a picture of that somewhere, the one I baked in the oven. And boy, did it look good. It's like, I'm not good. I'm not good in the kitchen, but that really worked out well. It's a great all-around dish. SWL 92. SWL 93. SWL 95. And 95 should be coming in from beautiful Orlando, Florida. Saying hello, radio. Saying good evening to everyone. Thank you there, Warthog. SWL 96. Dennis checking in earlier from a place that you probably can't hear me out there in Kerman with all the skip going on. Out there in the land of mid-century modern, out there in Palm Springs, UGX 4570. The QTH here could probably do well in Palm Springs. It was built by one of those mid-century modern architects and then stuck in Fresno. And everybody said, what is that? But anyway, out there in the irrigated desert, just like we are out here. Thanks for joining us tonight. Let's go over to Boston, SWL 97. And Mark is in 4570, breaker break. Any word from 97, Boston 97? I know his internet is kind of slow there sometimes. SWL 98. Probably can't hear Tracy because of the noise, but he is right there checking in. Thanks for joining us tonight. SWL 99, Radio Randy. Got him checked in from 48 meters this afternoon. Got to check in for Randy, who will be joining us when we get some conditions out there in Cape Creek. Let's go to... Oh, you know what? I think Tony, maybe this will be our Echolink check. And I'm probably going to blow it here, but I will try this. I will see if our Echolink link is up and running. It's in totally different machines here. But I will give it a shot to see if we can get a hold of SWL 20 in McClellanville, South Carolina. KD4BAO from KB6GFD. Over. I never know if I can do it. Here we go.
Good evening, Dennis. Please check in SWL 100. Tony, KD4BAO back to net control. Good evening.
Okay, I hear you. I have to remember where the Echo link is now to make it Echo and Link. Very good. All right, thanks. It works, and I've got it set up correctly, and all is great. I just don't have the multiple connections on this particular window. It only allows one at a time. So, all right, good. If you want to drop the link, and that'll open it up for somebody else if they want to get in there as well. Thanks, Tony. Always good to hear you. And sounds like it was a okay day in South Carolina. The tubes on the air will be on shortly. Thanks. Did someone say Caesar salad? I don't know. They might have a Caesar salad, Levon is asking, Rainmaker's asking, in the room, in the green room tonight. SWL 102, John is in. He's hiding in the bushes. Please check him in. Let me find my 102. It's like, who was it that used to hide in the bushes? He's like Artie Johnson, hiding in those bushes. Very interesting, but stupid. Yeah, all right. So much for my Artie Johnson imitation. Let's go to SWL 103. SWL, oops, my pen. Where did my pen go? Oh, it dropped on the floor. It dropped on the floor when I was doing Artie Johnson, so hold on a second. And not only did it drop on the floor, it went halfway under the radio table. But I am back, and there it is. So 102 is checked in. I got to find my list. 103, no, 109 for sure, just moments ago on the YouTube. Let's go to SWL 110. SWL 111. I will get Robert checked in from Facebook. He's been posting some really great pictures out there.
Look, a man kicked it up. A big old mouth. They call me the hippopotamus, and I'm that way. Bye-bye.
You say potato, and I guess we all say potatoes. SWL 113. Shortwave listener 114.
114, checking in.
114 is always sounding good through the cacophony that is. Your skip land 11 meters. Thanks, Wayne. Sounding good.
Thank you for the check-in, Dennis.
Next, we have SWL 128, John in Fairfax, Virginia. I will give him a check-in. I don't see him on my list of lists, but he may be coming in. He might be shortwave listening and can't get to these respective whatever it is he needs to check in. John is one of those stations that actually had an SWL number from Popular Electronics way, way long ago. When you would listen into the shortwave stations on your helicopters or whatever it is, your Space Cadet Patrol, and let them know you were listening, and they would send you a cool card. SWL 131. And, okay, they wrote it in. That's the only way sometimes is for me to actually, do my job here. I got to find it on the list. Is for Chet to actually take a whole nother piece of paper and write, you need to check in SWL 23. So I will do that. 23 Skidoo. Skedaddling into the air chair tonight. I thought he was working with Espresso Trucking Company. I think they were opening somewhere, and he was probably just making sure that, one, they didn't get locked out, and two, they didn't get kicked out. So if he's back, that must mean all went well. So let me get the official 23 beacon up to the top. And Mitch, you can thank Chet for for holding up the big card and said, there's somebody out there. Direct net roll call, and the radios are coming up. I promise I will try to get through the roll call here. SWL 133. SWL 135.
Let's see if this thing is working. Hello, SWL 135 checking in.
It's working great, so keep your fingers crossed that it will last another 5 minutes, and we will have it on another list.
I hope so. See, I should be right on frequency, so that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. All right, thanks for joining us. The bad thing is when you add pictures to radio, the people watching the video can just see me fumbling around and crashing into things and dropping my pen. You normally don't see that. So I guess I could. I guess I could something more interesting. Put up the Orban meter, so you'll never see me making all my mistakes. Popcorn 913 has got the machine running up on the mezzanine. So if you can't make it to the green room, some people, I don't know. Some people say that his popcorn is actually better than what we got in the green room. I don't know. I'm not allowed to make a comment about that. But try them both, and you will find out for yourself. Hello to someone joined us. Who else joined us in the room here? I don't know. Oh, Jukebox 502. Hello to you. Let's try SWL 137. And go up the hill and see. Somebody checked in on Echo. Let me see who jumped in there. Oh, it is Tony. All right. Tony jumped in. So let me try a connection up into the Echo link. And if you're hearing me, Tony, listen to your Echo link item. And we'll see if you can hear me. AJ6PD from KB6GFD. It's always kind of a balancing challenge to go from the radio to Echo link. Here we go.
I got you.
AJ6PD from KB6GFD.
AJ6PD, please check in 145. Thank you, Denny.
All right, you're sounding good. I actually hear the replay coming in and coming through the radio. Sounding good. Tony works on and works with the crew on the Early Risers Net and can usually be heard on Friday mornings at 7 a.m. in the Madera repeater when it's up. I have just been not scheduled to be around at that time, or I will join them in. I'm looking forward to that. A good bunch there in the morning. Thanks, Tony. Let's go to SWL 147. I will get Neil checked in. He may have checked in earlier. I will go around and make sure. Oops, let me sign off here. KB6GFD 73, Tony. To undo the Echolink link. I bet that was confusing up there. And Neil out in Fayetteville, North Carolina, another Kakalaki. Doing a good job. Also, I want to say hello to from Big Bear Mountain, where I hope you're actually able to open the doors and find the outdoor barbecue. Wiki Wacky checking in from Big Bear. I've got a station he checked in. Mark checked in earlier. He's up in Lake Almanor in Northern California. And they have just been inundated in snow. And kind of, it's like hibernating. The barbecue hibernates until you can pull the snow off and find it. So I've seen the pictures up there. Looks pretty awesome. But Greg is joining us tonight. I'm glad that the internet is working at least for a minute. Over to SWL 188, Snow Beast Jr.
Good evening time, Dennis. Good evening time to all SWLs. 188 checking in.
You are sounding good. Got you checked in. You were sounding. Heard you on the Dishbanks sideband net last night. Also sounding good. Thanks for joining us.
10-4, evening time.
All right, I think the band is in a little better shape, although he had no problem when we first started doing the bookends with the check-in on the regular side, SWL 195.
195, checking in, Dennis. You still sound good.
All right, yeah, we're getting the gray line into Australia, and they kind of pop in and pop out, but you're sounding good. Thanks for checking in and checking in.
Thank you, Dennis.
Then Mr. Shockwave, SWL 226. And anybody else I might have missed, you'd like to get in now because we couldn't hear you. And just a reminder that you'll be able to jump in any time while the 6L6 is glowing. OTR listening for SWL check-ins. All right, I'm not sure if that was a check-in. Well, it's probably a check-in, but maybe not to the old Tube Radio Network. It is time for the tubes. It is long past time for the tubes. I will change a few things, spin a few dials, pull a few switches, and be back with your tube radios on the old Tube Radio Network. Over. All right, hey, I think we're ready. Let's get started with some tube radios on your old tube radio network.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Oh, I'm supposed to talk here. Insert net control operator into the mix. The Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. Just to note that I did see Neil's check-in from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Or is that South Carolina? It's from North Carolina, saying that all was well. Also, hello to Old Time Radio joining us. Wonder what happens over at Old Time Radio. Some of those great radio dramas. We have a radio drama of sorts. You never know what the cast of characters might bring up from week to week. So glad that you are joining us. And without further ado, I will say it is time for the stars of the program, the stars of the net and out of the tube radios, and the operators who love them. OTR is standing by.
Number 7, 135.
And we have two, so in order of appearance. Hello, Mr. Ed. Step up into the air chair. We'll pick you up in just a moment. And hello to 135, Cliff. There's many things in the green room you might be interested in, but don't get too interested because we'll pick you up after Mr. Ed. Number 7, go ahead, over.
Well, thank you. And this one's kind of big. It's green. It's the Tram TR27E. 23-channel transmit and receive.
Okay. Yeah, if you describe it as, what is it, kind of big and kind of green, there are a lot of people that will say, I know what he's talking about. And you'll think, oh, yeah? And you'll say, yeah, it's the tube radio. Let me clear the charts here. Let me bring up the Rolodex file. And I know we have the trams in the Rolodex, and we also have, under our many TR27E pictures, the radio on which you are talking. So let me pull that up right now and put it on the screen. We'll talk about that while you talk on it. Over.
Oh, yes. Mine has the little addition of the red switch in the middle, but other than that, and I didn't want to take that out because it would just leave a hole, and I think the hole would look even worse. So just left the switch there. But, yep, the big meter there, and also Electro Voice 638 microphone attached.
EV638. And I was going to, in fact, let me pull over because sometimes astute modifiers will say, well, you know what? I need to have this item, and there's a hole here that I can repurpose. But I pulled up the advertisement from 1963, and where is it? Is it right in there between the speaker and the channel selector? There is no anything mounted there. So yeah, someone had to actually drill a hole there to put that item in. I thought, well, maybe you can put whatever was supposed to be there back in, but what was supposed to be there is part of the case. So I see your point. Yeah, I think you did right just leaving it there.
Yeah, someone drilled the hole, which is kind of a bummer. But other than that, it's a very nice looking radio, and it's working well now since it's been semi-retubed. Anyway, about half of them had to be replaced, but I guess that's what happens after 1963.
And it's still running, what is it, 63, 73, 83, 93, 03, 13. It's 2023. Have you told your radio yet?
No, I don't know. It may just all of a sudden feel it's really old.
We've all been there sometime. All right, I've got you in on the Tram TR27E, the final in their TR27 whatever series before they went to the Tram Titan, where I do believe they kept that same S meter, but did a few different things. But they kept doing it well. I don't know why they needed to improve, but they tried it out. Getting some thumbs up from our listeners. It's teal without the squeal. And Mitch says that's the honking proboscis switch. Let's see. What happens if you flip it up or down?
Well, on channel 1, it actually flips to a different frequency. That's the reason why. Actually, I don't have channel 1 crystal in this. It goes somewhere else. And that's what that was for. You flip that, and the receive would go to where you can go to that crystal.
Okay, well, it does it's got the honking proboscis little red button. So at least at least they put a red thing on it to sort of match the button. While I'm talking, go ahead and flip that switch up. So flip it up. Whoa. All right, now flip it down. Now flip it up. Now flip it up and down a bunch of times. All right, I think 23 Skidoo is right.
Yeah, well, if my radio starts doing that, I might start to worry.
We should all be worried. A favorite here on the Old Tube Radio Network, Hans joining us from Denmark. Good morning, good early morning to you, and giving it some thumbs up. Someone says, the Incredible Hulk of Tube CBs, and the Tram looks nice. All right, very good. Thanks for bringing it by, and a good way to start off.
And thank you.
I knew the honking proboscis would bring out the bozos. Thank you, Aaron. Stepping up into the air chair, right on cue. Do they have the monitors finally turned? They would turn the monitors down, and then people wouldn't know it was their time to jump in. I'm got a massive wires down here. He's saying, "Wait a minute. Put on the other cam." Let me okay. As Cliff comes up. Where's the other cam? That's not the other cam. What are you talking about? Oh, all right. They changed the camera. If you're watching the video, that's the rack of stuff. That's kind of an ugly shot with all the wires going and papers. But there is the rack of stuff that goes on, all the winking and blinking lights. It's sort of like the Wizard of Oz. It's like that back room. That's what's behind the curtain. That's why I should sound better than I do, right? Or I'm supposed to sound better than I do. I don't know. All right, let me go back and unkey so that 135 can take a transmission. Hello, Cliff.
Hello, Dennis. Is it my turn yet?
It is your turn. Over.
Okay, then I shall proceed. Hello. I seem to have lost a little power for some reason. Anywho, let's see. From the International Crystal Manufacturing Company in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I don't get to say that very often. This is the International Crystal Executive CTZ 100. It's Charlie Tango Zulu 100. Back to you. Big old mouth.
All right, CTZ 100, the Rolodex is there. Just reminding the listeners on the air, everywhere on channel 1127-085, the Old Tube Radio Network, live streaming right now. So if you hear us sort of floating in and out, wondering what is that, you can go to oldtuberadio.net and see what is happening. See what happens here on the west coast of these United States and everywhere else. We got listeners from all over who share their stories of tubiness with us, and here is one right now, if we can get to the full screen photo. Yeah, the ICM CTZ 100. This is from the collection of Bob Mylan. Boy, this radio looks like it has never been turned on. International Crystal Manufacturing Executive. Pretty cool. Back in the time, let's see if I got any more information about it. Nothing. Serial number, that's about it. So over to you for transmission. I like the audio. Sounds nice. Over.
No, I'm sure glad to hear that. Like I say, it's not putting out very much tonight for some reason. But let's see, it seems to be doing well enough. Okay, so I've got information because I've got one right in front of me. This has 12 crystal-controlled transmit channels and VFO receive. There are, let's see, 9, 10, 11 tubes altogether, and I'll explain that. I know a lot of people think, oh, there's only 9 tubes in this thing. But I have the external speaker receive meter, S meter, speaker S meter. You get the idea, right? And it also has tubes in it. It's got 2 additional tubes. So that's 9 in the radio, 2 in the speaker unit, for a total of 11 tubes for right now. The microphone here, I'm currently using the Turner Plus 3B. I do have the matching hand mic. I'm not sure if the picture you're looking at has the hand mic in it. I do have one of those, but I'm not currently using it right now.
All right, we're making it through all the noise. I actually got a picture of the back of the set. We've got a picture of the speaker meter. That is so cool. I mean, that looks like, reminds me of one of those Zenith consoles with the shutter dials. And I guess my question would be on interfacing, is it something that's sort of specific to the radio, like a Browning receiver transmitter where you have interconnects and all that? Or could you, I don't know, could you purpose this to another radio? I'm thinking maybe the speaker, but I don't know how you would do the S meter. But obviously it goes with the radio it goes with because it matches and looks pretty interesting. You think there's 2 speakers in there, but maybe there isn't. I think there isn't. But in your memory, have you ever paired that with something else?
No, I haven't. I don't have any other Crystal Executive radios. This is my only one. And it will, I think, work with most of the Crystal Executive radios. There's the CTZ 100, I think there's an A, B, C, and a D. And if you look at the back of it, you'll see an accessory socket. I think you said you had a picture of the back of it. There's an accessory socket, 5 pins, I think it's 5 wires. It does use electricity from the radio to drive the tubes that run that meter. And then like the other connections, there's 4 or 5 wires. I got to look at that. Some power powers up those tubes for the meter, and then the other are audio for the speaker.
All right, got it. There is the rear view. This is just thank you to the Milam Estate for this. This is a beautiful picture. There's a schematic. Okay, there's the Jones plug, I guess you would call it, the power, a reset, the fuse, the antenna, and then the ACC, and how many ever wires you said? 1, 2, at least 4, maybe 5 coming in. There's also, oh wow, there's also a mic gain. Looks like a button, but I'm assuming that's some type of rotary knob.
Yeah, there is a mic gain control in the back, which I have pretty much cranked. Even with the amplified microphone, it still needs a little bit more help.
All right, no, it sounds good. All right, let me go back to the speaker, which I should have it because someone has asked a question. Was there a range switch? I didn't see the range switch. Let me go to the close-up. 0. Okay, the question was, what is the range switch on the meter for? But I'm not seeing a range switch. Oh, wait a minute. There it is. It's right in front of me. Yeah, and I'm looking at the numbers. 40, 450, 4500. So is that the, are you measuring voltages or something? And why would you need a switch?
Yeah, why would you need to do that? It is a good question, which we've never really figured out. But basically, it's one of those things I can basically make you show up on the meter just about anywhere I want. If I want you to be 60 over, I can make you 60 over. Mine says 40, 400, and 4,000. I'm currently on the top one, the 4,000, which seems to crank it down the most, and you're still about 30 over. If I go down to 400, you will slap all the way over to the right, and 40 is just ridiculous. it changes the sensitivity of the receive meter. And again, I'm not sure what use that is really. Like I said, there's only two knobs there on the speaker, and the other one is for zeroing the needle on the meter. And then, like I say, the range seems to just change the sensitivity of the receive signal.
Interesting. I know we have the right ways to calibrate it, but I wonder if it's actually calibrated for, what was the Art Collins, it was at minus 100 dBm for S9, and then Kenwood said, oh no, it should be minus 50 dBm, whatever, for S9, and so there was sort of the controversy. So, one station would be 60 over because he's calibrated at 50, and the other station would be 20 over because they're calibrated at 100. So maybe it's set to something like that, or were it to be adjustable somehow, you could set it so that one range is the Collins, standard, the old Art Collins standard, and the other range is the Kenwood standard. And then the other range would be the CB standard, which is your 9 pounds, good modulation, chestnut and Herndon. Talking to Cliff, one of our longtime radio operators here. He's on the very rare International Crystal Manufacturing Company CTZ100. We're actually looking at a picture of the matching speaker S-meter, which is pretty cool. And one more question. I noticed the radio itself, unless I've got the wrong radio up here, has its own speaker. So I hope that's correct. So you'd think, why would you need an external speaker? Because you actually have one already.
That's true, and it sounds very nice, actually. But it's just really cool having an S-meter on this thing. Without it, there's no S-meter. I'm sure you noticed that too. There is a plug with a jumper on it that you have to plug in to that accessory socket. You plug that in, and the internal speaker on the radio will work just fine. Remove it, and you can plug in, this external speaker meter. That's how that goes.
Interesting. And someone brought up another interesting question. Thanks, Hans. You've got a fuse. We can see the fuse in the back, 15 amp, 6 volt, 7.5 and 12 volt. There's another one. You've got 6 volt, 12 volt operation. So obviously there was a possible vibrator tube, or I don't see any transistors in there, or some way to run, wait a minute. Oh, okay, let's back up before I go to the question. 6 volt, 12 volt. Are you running this off a power supply, or are you plugging directly in the wall?
Oh, no, I'm running this AC. But yes, it can be configured with different plugs wired in different configurations. In fact, in the manual, there's a whole thing on that. You got to have the right plug, and you can have this as a mobile radio for your 6 volt or 12 volt operation. It just depends on which plug configuration that you've got. But and also there's a mounting bracket, a great big sliding mounting bracket that goes with these things, which I do not have. So I won't be running this mobile anytime soon. Sorry about that. It's a big, complicated 18-pin, if I remember correctly, plug with a lot of weird configurations in it.
Wow. All right. Very interesting. And then the question that I was working to that I didn't get to, you didn't think you were going to be on the hot seat here for the questions. And you may not know this because you may not have had to use it. We have the fuse, and then there's a push to reset, which typically would be a circuit breaker, circuit breaker, if you will, in itself. I'm thinking, well, does it have both? Or is there something, as someone said, is there something else? What would you be resetting over?
Yeah, there's a thing about that in the manual as well. If you overload the radio, it can snap that breaker. And that's exactly what it is. It is a breaker. And I think it says you have to wait like 30 seconds, and then you hold it down or push it in for 2 seconds, and then release it, and hopefully that will restart your radio unless anything else more serious is wrong with it.
That's unless it goes bad and becomes a problem. That's actually not a bad little feature. And I don't know if they can make them heat sensitive or, like you said, it's an overload sensitive. I used to have an electric lawnmower that did that. If you just pushed it through wet grass, this thing would pop. The switch would pop on. You'd have to wait 30 seconds and push it. It was a way to keep you from probably ruining the unit. So maybe this is the same way. At some point, if you're really screaming into it or there's something it doesn't like, before you think, that smells interesting, before it does that, it will reset for you. And that is probably why the radio is in such good condition, and maybe you still have that one, because I know you wouldn't do it, but maybe a prior owner, if they weren't doing it right, pop the breaker and push it right in. Radio number 2, International Crystal Manufacturing Company, and they made a lot of radios. They made crystals, and I think, if I remember correctly, and I don't have the info in front of me, they were still manufacturing things, crystals or whatever, until just a few years ago. I mean, it might be as many as 5 years ago, and I don't know if someone bought them out or they just stopped doing whatever they were doing. But very interesting. So, while you're here, we'll give you the obligatory zero beat, since it's International Crystal Manufacturing, right? Let's check out the crystals on that thing. Give us a transmission.
Okay. Yeah, according to mine, it's just about right on. Just maybe it's flickering between the 4.9 and the 4.2. So go ahead and zero beat me. Incidentally, I didn't realize there was going to be a test, or I would have studied my manuals more carefully. Yeah, but it's still fun. I love to talk on these things as much as possible. That's what they're for. How'd I do? How close am I?
You did great. Not only that, you got extra credits, so you've got some extra points in the bag for the next test in case you miss a 1 or 2. And in fact, we might even let you out early with no homework. You are correct. 085, go to either upper or lower side band, and there is no tone. Unless I move it a little bit, then it'll show up. So that's usually a sign that you are right on, doing the good thing. Radio 2, sounding good. Thanks for the CTZ 100 executive. Picture from a collection of Bob Milam. Thanks to your state for a lot of info and pictures that we've got for usage. And thanks to you on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Oh, thanks for letting me check it in. The International Crystal Executive. I don't know if they had just like a normal one or not, but this is the executive. CTZ 100. I'll catch you next week. See ya.
All right, we will be here. I'm getting a whole bunch of hand waving that there's a lot of things that I need to do before we take the next radio. The pen. All right. Our sponsor this week, that I should have done earlier, Jones TV and Appliance. I think they've been here before. Gibson, Lytton, Sylvania, at 401 South Blanchard in Findlay, Ohio. Phone them, won't you? And it doesn't give an area code. Okay, that's it. 423-1916. Nice. All these pens are nice. They're all vintage, made with real metal. There is no plastic on any of these items. Oh, you're saying I could do it with the other camera? Well, let me see. Let me go there. And you hold that right there. Whoa, all right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, all right. Jones TV and Appliance. Cool. But the pocket protector. Also, they're saying the radio's not on the back. All right. Official lighting of the E.F. Johnson. And they're saying the jingle singers think that we don't love them anymore. But we do. Back in a bit on your Old Tube Radio Network.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
And we are listening for radio number 3. wanted to show a picture, describe it to our listeners on the video from some of the great operators. Mario Tagliaferri, who's produced some pictures for us before. He's got a great collection. Not exactly sure where he's at and if we would ever be able to hear them. The Lafayette HB444. I think we've had a few of those check in. I believe Harvey has one of them. What a beautiful radio. It's got the illuminated centerpiece there that's got the instructions on what the knobs do, the Lafayette HB44, and then a radio that we've heard, not that recently, but we used to have a lot of them on there, the Courier Royale. Really nice talker, but beautiful sets, beautiful radios from Mario's collection. So Mario, we wish we could hear your radios, but thank you for letting us share them and show them here on the Old Tube Radio Network, where we are awaiting our radio number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3, all right, step up into the air chair, Harvey, and who was that for number 4, over?
60.
All right, 20, and then 3 times 24, 60. So don't go away, Joe. There is plenty of popcorn and good stuff all around, and we will call you shortly. Harvey, let me go to the control room here. Let me get the proper things that I need to conduct business on the Old Tube Radio Network. I don't know if you were on earlier. We played a little snippet from old Radio Night where they were using the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. And you got some great thumbs up from Mr. JT. I guess there was some, confusion about microphonium cables or connections or something like that. It sounds like you saved the day. Over.
Well, I don't know if I saved the day, because I think by the time he did it, it was evening. So maybe I saved the evening. He has a General MC, Super MC11A, and he wanted a 4-pin Cobra plug type thing wired in so that he could plug it into the General. And he gave, I think it's Steve Moberg, I think the last name's correct, I'm not sure about the first name, who does adapter plugins and such. And I think he got it from Sam's, and Sam's is wrong. Pin 1 and 4 have to be swapped. I found that out the hard way, about 15 years ago. So I took my Sam's and I changed the numbers on there, so it's correct. Anyway, he had called me and asked me, so I told him what it was. But anyway, I didn't do much. I just told him what it was. Anyway, and then he said he contacted Dwayne in Idaho. So they went 11A to 11As. So I thought that was great. Okay, the Browning R2700 receiver with the 23S9 transmitter and the stock D104.
Wow, that's stock with D104. I was just about to say, if I have anything I would suggest, it would be to back off the audio. But there's no battery, there's no knob on there, right?
No, but I could hold the mic farther away.
Yeah. No, it's got a lot of audio, so I don't think you would even be able to with a. Well, you could put an amplified microphone. I remember, Everett, when we used to tell him, and he would go across the room and wrap himself in the curtain to deaden the sound, and put it around, wrap a blanket to or do something. But yours is not quite like that, but it sounds good. I was looking, and then my Rolodex is failing me. What is the receiver? Is it the 2700A over?
Now the R2700, the one with the switch and not the fine-tuning antenna tuner thingy on the front. Everett's radio room was a little longer than mine, but not even as wide. I mean, it was kind of a very narrow room. He had a bench on one wall and a bench on the other wall behind him, but nothing was hooked up behind him because he just didn't have the room. He just had the radios on some shelves behind him, and he would have to pull them off, put them on the bench to talk on them. He had 3 Browning Golden Eagle Mark IIIs, one stacked on top of the other. And so when he had an amplified mic or just a loud radio, the sound would just bounce off the wall behind him back into the mic.
All right, don't go away because something is failing, and I don't know if it's the range boost or if it's the radio. You've got plenty of carrier, but the audio is crackling and fading away.
Okay. Is it fading away right now?
No, but it's pretty distorted. It almost sounds like it's overmodulated and flat topping.
Okay. Maybe that's a little better.
Okay, and that was a long transmission, so I don't know if it's something that as you go along it would do that. So we'll see. All right, it was definitely noticeable at the end of that last transmission. So I've got the R2700 up in the queue. There's a strange slidey switch or flippy switch on the right-hand side and on the meter. So when someone is 60 over or 40 over or 9 pounds good modulation, is the needle all the way to the top or all the way to the bottom? Which way does that go?
Yeah. I'm watching the power. Oh yeah, I might have a loose connection on the back. I have to check it. I did change coaxes a while back. The meter goes up, and it's it would top out at about 45, 50 over. And the little funny switch on the right is because this was their first receiver that Browning made for CB or 11 meters, and ham operators used them. And if you flip it down, it shuts the receiver off. You keep the transmitter just top. Yeah, I could see the transmitter and losing a little power, so I have to check it.
All right, well, it did it again. So there's something, when you take a long transmission, at 30 or 40 seconds, the audio starts to not be happy and start fading away and get crackly over.
Well, I'll just have to check it.
All right, but other than that, I'm hearing it no problem. It's putting a real signal, a real good signal, and a real signal of boot, and it's, as we mentioned before, extremely loud. So maybe it's too loud. Maybe there's some roughness. I don't know, but it does work. But it's certainly on the longer transmissions, it's having some difficulty to keep those in the queue. Radio number 3, the 23S9/R2700 from. And that was truly when it was Browning Laboratories. There were no Eagles running around then.
No Eagles at all. Okay, now the power's back up. I moved the transmitter, which changed the position of the coax on the back. And later on, after OTR, I'll go to another channel. There I'm watching it drop. Okay, I might have a weak file or something. Or, well, you said audio, so it might be the modulator. I'll check it. Alrighty, we'll catch you later.
All right, yeah, I have to do a Harvey old buzzard and then look through the convection vent and see if it's like, oh, something's getting more red than it should be. Radio 3 tonight, R27, S23, S9. What would you say vintage? 1961 for both of those, over?
Well, the receiver is older. I would say 60, and maybe the transmitter 62.
All right, sounding good. Other possibilities, Dwayne saying what it could sound like is like a relay issue. Maybe something is, undoing itself, or a capacitor issue. You never know. So, actually, you're on tape. Did we tape this? You're on tape here at probably about an hour and 50 minutes in on the playback, either on the audio or the video. So you'll be able to actually hear for yourself the item of interest. All right, take another transmission. We've got Joe is standing by for Radio 4, and all is well on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for bringing that one by.
Roger. Yeah, I will check. I will check caps and tubes and everything. Alrighty, you take care. That's why I burn these things for a long time, make sure. Alrighty, take it easy. Back off the mic. And I might have one more to check in.
All right, that'll be good. Yeah, someone said about the cap applying some voltage through to a grid. You just never know. All right, sounding good. I want to get to Radio 4, and Albert and the gang is up. We might try a live check-in up in Squamish, so I'm going to fire up our link up to you guys, Albert. So if you've got the radios handy, bring them on 27085. You won't interfere with us. I don't know. If the band opens up, you might, but we're going to try and link up to the system that looks your way. So stand by for that if you can. And in the meantime, stepping up into the air chair is 60. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Dennis. And, we have a chance there, and maybe the old boys down there in that old Squamish Valley down there can hear us. We'll say top of the evening to them. And to the fellows out here in doggone it, evening time to the radio operators. Dennis, I'd like to check in my World Radio Labs Hustler base.
All right, World Radio Labs Hustler, I do believe I have a great picture of that. So let me get it set up for those who are over at oldtuberadio.net. And let me make sure I did that okay. Yeah, great. And for our live people or on the tape, we're taping this. Look good, straighten your tie. If I had the right item on there, which I don't, we would be able to see that. So take a transmission while I figure out what the heck I'm doing.
Okay, we had to turn off another radio there. Sorry about that. Yeah, Dennis, we have our Hustler base from World Radio Labs. 7 tubes, 8 channels. A little blue box. You might call it a little blue box with all its hardware and also its original hand mic, although we're on a gray base, Turner Plus 3.
Good audio, not overdone at all, no flat topping. The radio is perfectly happy with its match. It's not the blue. So what color is the microphone?
It's gray. The gray Turner Plus 3.
Oh, the plus 3. All right. I was thinking plus. You could get, you could get the plus 2, but I think the blues. I'm certainly not any type of a designer or decorator here, but I think the blues would clash between the radio and the plus 2. So it's probably gray is, when it comes to matching, is probably a better, at least aesthetic look, and it certainly sounds good. So Hustler, World Radio Labs, Leo Meyerson and his crew from the 1920s or so, all the way up through the 1980s when he started getting out of things. Council Bluffs, Iowa, I think was where this might have emanated from, but right now from the Central Valley of California, it is sounding good. Take a transmission on radio number 4.
Thank you much, Dennis. And the color doesn't really throw it off because, like I said once before there, that there is a silver band that encases the speaker. The first 2 knobs on the bottom, on the top. Also, the crystal is encased in there with the meter, and the other 2 knobs by themselves on the bottom are blue, in a blue cover, blue painting there. So it does kind of the mic kind of blends into the radio.
Yeah, but you make it stand out, so not a problem. I want to say hello, a special shout out to Miami SWL Radio, and I think that was the station that was on 40 meters doing a TikTok, and we jumped in talking about shortwave listeners that we have many right here on the old Tube Radio Network. So we've been doing this since 1986, 87, back when I actually looked like a true radio operator. And so that was fun. That was a fun thing, and glad to see there are all these venues to get people on the air, to introduce them to two-way radio, to show these old radios. Like Joe is live here in Central California talking on a likeness, a similar, that's not his radio, but he's on something from the early 1960s. Lots of vacuum tubes. That's why there's holes in the top to get a little convection cooling. And the coolness of the FCC says you've got to be crystal controlled. You can have the VFO you want. We'll add an S meter so you can have something to look at. And away you go, assuming you play by the rules, which a lot of people didn't. But we still had a lot of fun. Over to you, Joe, for transmission. I'm going to try and get the link up to Squamish. It looks like it's up and running. So, Albert, if you guys are out there, stand by and we'll be talking to you in a bit. But Joe, take another transmission. Over.
Thank you much, Dennis. And I'll holler out again to the Squamish boys out there. We talk to them once in a while in the old skip land. Anyway, Dennis, thanks a whole lot. The meter over here also tells me you're doing a great job, pegging me out, in fact, and that's a good deal. We don't have a modulation light on this, but we have a light that when we key up the mic, it kind of flickers back to me and says, "Your turn to burn."
I like that, and indeed, it is burning pretty good, sounding good. Classic radio. But part of the fun is just they look so cool, just like an old car, but it looks good in the carport. Pull the cover off, let the neighbors take a look, polish the fins. That's what we do here, fins and chrome of radio on the old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for that. Let's see. UDX 4570 in Palm Springs just got back from the Electric Chickens rock and roll concert. And appearing next week will be the Electric Mud Ducks, and the week after that, the Espresso Trucking Company is going to be coming your way. I'm going to open. Let me see. Let me go to the satellite here. Let me see if I've got. Do I have audio I can bring up? Okay, listening. We're listening in to the link up in Squamish, BC, on Channel 11. Albert, are you? I know there's a delay on the internet, but if you guys are up there and you've got your radios tuned to Channel 11 up in Squamish, give a call. Let's see if we can grab you on the uplink. Or is it a downlink?
Hello, OTR. Albert, 256 in Squamish. Talking on my 959 Galaxy. And yes, Joe, you have a beautiful Hustler radio. And I'm the one that you've talked to up here.
All right, most excellent. Sounding good, good-looking signal on the scope. So there it is, Joe. Confirmation, as they say, QSL. And that is Albert up there on his radio, listening, broadcasting live, transmitting live at 27085. So thanks for joining us tonight. It looks like everything is working. We appreciate all you bring to the old Tube Radio Network. 73 up there, guys, and thanks for joining us. And we're still getting the Aloha
Hey,
crew.
Dennis, if you talk to me, it's 428. I'd like to check in my old TRC 458. And thank you very much for doing this.
All right, the 458.
Anyway, I'd like to wave a hand to everybody out there, Dennis, and thanks a lot. Thanks for doing this, 73s, and I'll pass it back to you. Over.
All right, the radio's sounding good. Audio's good. Nice looking signal. Nice looking signal. No spurious products. You guys run a good, clean station up that way. So no wonder we can hear you down here in the Central Valley. So 73 to you. Thanks for. I know I kind of did it the last minute, but thanks for jumping into the radio room and giving us a shout for the uplink here on the Old Tube Radio Network on. Where are you at? 27085. OTR is standing by for radio number 5. And we have radio number 5. Give that thing a workout. Over.
Thank you much, Dennis, and I want to say thanks to Albert out there. Dennis, I'd like to check in my Johnson. This is the TOO, black-faced Johnson. We're talking on a gray base D104.
All right, we've got the Messenger TWO on the D104. Let me bring it up full screen. Now, here is a radio that's, I mean, this is even plainer than the Hustler, although I wouldn't call the Hustler plain. I mean, they didn't. What's up? They couldn't even give you a meter from E.F. Johnson, but then again, you probably weren't supposed to even worry about giving anybody a signal report. If you could hear them, it was working, right?
Well, that's what I think, Dennis, and I could definitely hear them. And with all these lights on, I assume that something is working, and maybe it's getting out there. Dennis, I would like to say that equipped with its 10 tubes and 10 channels and a few lights, including a modulation light, which is not shy. It's hiding behind the screen, but it's still telling me you're talking.
Yeah, like the song says, everybody's talking at me. Here's a collection. This is John Richardson. I'll switch the video picture over. And so you think you've got trouble with a capital E.F. Johnson. Here comes John here with, I don't know, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, at least 4. I see 5 in the background, maybe 6, 7. E.F. Johnson Messenger 2s on top of, or underneath the Messenger 1's Viking. Some of them, one of them has a red light, because I know there's a couple of different iterations of that. That's like a modification. And they look like they all have, and I don't know if you have that somewhere in a box, what I'll call, I think it's the static, we call it the ice cream cone microphone where you talk into the end of it. Do you have that somewhere?
No, I don't believe so.
All right, well, you don't need the D104. It's doing you a good job. And were I to be anywhere near John and his Johnson radios, we would probably have to start checking things in at 7 o'clock to get everybody in. But yours is being a good representative. E.F. Johnson, Edgar, what was it, Edgar and Ethel? Opening their sort of radio supply store back in the 1920s, and this is what happens when you just when you can't close the doors and you just got to keep putting out good stuff. E.F. Johnson, I believe, is still around. Are they part of JVC Kenwood now? I don't recall, but sounding good. Occasionally, as you know, when you first fire that up, it takes a little. It does a little stutter, and then it comes right up, and it holds true throughout the rest of the transmission. So I don't think you need to do a thing to that. Back to you.
Well, that's a good deal. And I always think about that every time I key this mic up. I often wonder, what it's doing when I first key it up. So I keep quiet to myself until I figure maybe the old audio tube is fired up to go with me. But anyway, thanks a lot, Dennis, for letting me check this one in. And I've got another one that's warming up there, and I'd like to get it checked in. So thanks a whole bunch, Dennis, on this one.
All right, and we will definitely get that in. There is room on the list. I want to take a little extra time tonight because I got in late, as usual. People staying up late tonight, or in the case of, is it Fibro Dad, tuning in from the UK, where the sun is about to come up. Thanks for joining us, the Old Tube Radio Network, here in the west coast of the United States in California. And we are a group of people. We have this net that happens every Saturday evening. We've been doing it for well over 35, 36 years, where we invite the tube radio operators with the tube radios from the 1950s, late 50s, all throughout the 60s and the 1970s to fire them up, drive them around the block, and if we can help them with a mic check or give them information or just enjoy the sound that some of us weren't around to hear back in the day, then that's what we do. And our tube radio operators are obliging, stopping what they might be or should be doing on a Saturday evening to jump into the radio room and take a transmission. Thanks, Joe. Often we are joined by our other studio, the Jingle Singers, who remind people and put out a beacon as to what it is we are doing, such as this.
Let's do some spelling.
OTR.
Let's do some adding.
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio. Old Tube Radio.
And we are standing by for Radio 6.
60.
Well, you're making my job easier. I can just kind of copy. I can copy part of my list from what I just did, except for the radio. Go ahead.
Thank you much, Dennis. I'd like to check in my messenger, my 223. 10 tubes, 23 channels on the original desk mic for messenger.
All right. I had the E.F. Johnson file up on the Rolodex, and I closed it, and I had to find it again. But I have found it. Let's get into not that. We don't want Rachosaurus. We don't want the REA. My switcher's going wacko here. Here we go. Johnson Messenger 223 with the modulation light. This is from Cliff's collection. I don't think you have the mod light, but we'll show a couple of different radios. Back to the control for just a second, just to show off over my left shoulder my E.F. Johnson courtesy. I believe that was the Mountain Maids, or from the Mountain Maids collection. So you are in good company with E.F. Johnson, a great radio, a real workhorse. They sold a lot of them for those that were just getting into the radio and didn't have $300 to $400 for a Tram or an E.F. Johnson, and didn't like, I guess, the plainness of some of the non-23 channel radios, and thought, well, I'd really like to have a meter. It's that mid-size, it's like that mid-size car, right? It's not a Ford Falcon. It's not a Cadillac, but it'll get you there and back. Take a transmission.
Most definitely. It's a handsome radio. I mean, you start to look at it and think you're looking at a whole lot of radio, but you've got this window that has a meter in it and a channel changer, right next to it. Both of them lit up real nice. Johnson in the middle there looking right at you. And a handsome front, a big 4x4 speaker. Of course, they didn't go overboard on the knobs, but you have your volume and your squelch, and the squelch kind of works backwards a little bit. But other than that, it's a handsome radio.
It is a handsome radio. And this was a base station only. Johnson had the Viking Messenger, the white face. It had, as you showed us moments ago, the Messenger TWO, which were set up to do base or mobile, 6-volt, 12-volt. And then they had the 223. These are all their tube radios at the time. And it was never set up to be mobile. So I think they had a little more, the engineers, designers had a little more leeway as to, where they put the speakers. Like, well, that wouldn't be good for a mobile, but it's fine for a base station. And the knobs and the positions they are and whatever. I think they're going to make this mobile. They might have changed a few things. It is a Messenger 2. inside of that nice cabinet with extra crystals for the transmit and the S meter. That's why they call it the 223. And these were manufactured, I believe, from 1968. So they were into CB almost 10 years, 1969 to 1972, before they actually came out. So it's almost as though they were reluctant. Because, as you know, crystal manufacturing companies and Cobras and Trams were just every 12 to 18 months, a new radio. And E.F. Johnson had the 2 radios from 1959 through 1969. Then they came out with this, and then they sort of went solid state. Everything after this was solid state and smaller mobile radios. But, of course, E.F. Johnson was also producing amateur radio equipment at the time as well, mainly just transmitters, not receivers. So probably an interesting combination to make a transceiver for them. I'm talking too much. You are the star of radio number 6, so take a transmission.
Well, Dennis, all you say is very interesting. I listen up, and I have the solid state version. Same case, same front. Everything's the same except for now there are different features on the solid state. You have 4 or 5 knobs. I think it's the 124A. But I could use the case. I could use the case for it to exchange with this one. Nice looking radio. And this one here, doggone it, they didn't spend a whole lot of money, being AC, but the durability's there. I like it. I like this one as a base.
No, they knew what they were doing. It just looks great. It's not too utility looking. It's good enough to, as we often say, set on that doily next to the RCA color console. So when Jackie Gleason was over, you flip on the radio and give a 5-minute transmission to your friends, of course, using your proper call sign on the proper frequency. E.F. Johnson, Messenger 223. I want to say 73 to Hans, joining us from Denmark, coming in early to catch us and off to the rest of the day. We enjoy your input, Alpha 173, and who knows, when Cycle 25 goes crazy, you all are probably able to talk to the East Coast about now when they channel and they skips it in running, but West Coast will be a different thing, or maybe we'll catch a long path. Joe, you're sounding good. Thanks for Radio 6. E.F. Johnson, Messenger 223. I will be counting and amounting, but we will still be open for check-ins, whether it's SWL or radio-wise. And, of course, the Jingle Singers are ready to join us once again, doing what they do best, the Old Tube Radio Network.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And as a famous radio operator once said, did somebody say Fresno?
Number 7.
And number 7. You caught me in the middle of page counting. I didn't want to stop. Radio 7. There is a method to the madness. Ed, take a transmission over.
This time, the Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, taking up almost 3 feet of space on the desk, with the on-the-air light operating, and with the Golden Eagle D104 microphone.
Wow, all right, pushing the S meter to its limits and letting this operator know that when you came in, I'm thinking, wow, what's going on? And I had the noise blanker in. Not that you are noise, but you are in that zone where if you're strong enough and you have some good audio, especially with some great high frequencies, this is that little tech note from the Old Tube Radio Network. Check your noise blanker. If the station coming in sounds, I don't know, distorted, and you know that they're not, it's your noise blanker. It's being confused because it can't handle such a good sound. Give us a transmission on the Browning. Super loud and sounding quite nice over.
Thank you. Well, Dad did do a little work on the microphone. Luckily, he still had a crystal to put in there, and I think I've got it dialed all okay, so hopefully I'm not flat-topping, distorting, or doing anything that's kind of atrocious.
Sounds okay. I think you're at the limit, though, on the amount of audio you want. This one has definitely a little bit more like high mid-range punch to it. And as you know, the Brownings already work that out for you. So you definitely don't want to raise your voice too much on that one. Over.
Copy that. Well, at least it's doing its job, so, well, it's still working, so that's a good thing.
That is a very good thing, especially on a Saturday evening for the Old Tube Radio Network. And let's see, go back to, see if we can make that on-the-air light glow one more time.
Yes, it definitely has the on-the-air lighting up. That was one bulb I actually did have to replace, and it's a little bit of a bugger.
Well, let's see, it's in the speaker, but it's kind of down. Anything that's down on the bottom sometimes can be a challenge if there's a lot of stuff on the top.
Yeah, it's not real easy. Like the Tram, man. They got a little door up there, and you can reach right in.
And then radios that have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 knobs and other things that may or may not need to be unscrewed and taken off carefully and then put back on in the right order carefully makes it a challenge as well.
Yes, and don't key the microphone while you're unplugging it or anything like that because it could zap you.
There is is it the B+? There's some nice voltage. There's only 3 pins. And I know, my little story I relate that I'm using the J38 key to key up the Browning. And the J38 key is this metal, this brass piece of exposed metal on the desk, sitting there, and there's a slide switch. So if one were to put their finger between the 2 pieces of metal, it's the same thing as saying, oh, you would like to feel that 95 volts, wouldn't you? And then I noticed at some point whenever I was using the slide switch, there was this little spark going on when I was making contact. So I thought, a J38 key is probably not the best push to talk for a Browning.
No, it probably isn't. Yeah, I learned when changing microphones on the radio to test it and having it keyed while unscrewing it while talking, and yeah, it kind of delivered a nice little bite.
Indeed. Radio 7, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, Mr. Ed at the microphonium, sounding good. Counting and amounting, we have room on the list for more radios before we sign out tonight, thanks to the station staying up late on the West Coast and staying up really late, or is it getting up early on the East Coast and beyond on the Old Tube Radio Network.
My turn.
It is your turn. Over. Now you are so subdued and subtle with the ping. Over.
Is that better?
No, that is good. I was just used to hearing the 23S9 it's so in your face with the audio. This is it's that time. It's past 10 o'clock, so you need to be quiet.
Okay, I'll be quiet. The Browning Golden Eagle R68T68 of the Beagle from Browning Laboratories with the D104, unamped D104 with the medallion on the back of the head, the Browning Laboratories medallion. Okay, that should do it for me. I've got, I replaced the tube in the 23S9, so I think it's better now.
All right, we'll be able to check it out in a couple of pieces. You could have some, since it was, it was a thing that happened after you were warming up. You had to take a transmission of 57 seconds or more. So, yeah, a tube could be saying, I think I can, or I think I can't. Or it could get enough heat where they said, leaking, a little bit of capacitor leak, but we will see. That one, of course, as always, is a perfect player.
But not this one. Okay. In your face, Dennis radio. Now, let's see. I replaced the modulator, and I remember that in the circuitry of the Brownings, if the modulator starts to short, your power will go down. I learned that after 2 weeks of troubleshooting. I went, ow, it's this tube shorting occasionally. And then all of a sudden the power would drop. So it could have been a bad grid emission or a short on that tube. But right now, I'm doing the old buzzard transmission, which you don't like because, hey, I want to have my Ovaltine, so I don't blame you. But right now, it's holding steady. I'm looking at the meter, and it's not going down. I've got the microphone at arm's length, so hopefully that's good.
It is good, especially you don't want to get too close to the microphone. That was a full transmission, no wackiness. The audio was crisp and clean through the entire transmission. Now, whether that was enough of an old buzzard to induce the wackiness prior, I don't know, but it was good all the way through. Over.
Roger. And I'm looking at the meter. Okay. I'll try it out later tonight or during the skip tomorrow because no one will hear me. So that'll be good. I can just key the mic and just blab away or cough my way through it, either one, and see if the needle goes down. This is the first time I noticed that. It dropping. So anyway, okay. Another old, semi-old buzzer transmission. Yeah, I heard JT and General to General. That was nice. There's my cough, my non-smoker's cough. Okay, that should be enough.
Yeah, it's clean, and I would have to do an A-B comparison. I think your audio is actually a little cleaner too. It's not as, remember how I said it was rough? Maybe I didn't say that, but I was maybe hinting as rough. It seems like it smoothed it out and you're back to that sound on that radio without the wackiness. So we'll see. So you'll be able to go in the blabber, what do you say, the blabber frequency and give it some more tests. But it is possible that you have it. And, you know, they gave me a tangerine juice tonight, which I have consumed, and I don't think I'm going to have to put a waiting period. I don't think it goes well. At least it doesn't sound like it would go well with Ovaltine tonight. So I'll have to wait for a little while to do that. And oh, why did they switch? They switched to the Wacko rack cam. I can see if they're gonna put cameras around the shack here. They'll have to do some house cleaning with papers and dangling wires. That's the audio patch bay with all those wires coming down. So they do have a purpose. And there's something else. What is that running through there? Anyway, let me get back to, tell them to put it back to the control room here. There it is. All right. Okay, thank you, Harvey. You are sounding good, and you may have found the item of interest.
Well, I hope so. Because I should have this radio for about another week or so. And then it goes away. And I'm watching the meter. Okay. Anyway, I'll see what happens. I will pop the bottom and look at caps. I think I replaced every single cap in this transmitter, so it should be okay, but could be something else. Alrighty. I will let you go. Old buzzer transmission here. Yeah. Needle is moving the way it should and dropping back to where it should. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Dennis. That should do it.
The needle is moving, doing good things. Before you go, say hello to enjoying your mellifluous audio on the Eagle. I think that's the 23S9 transmitter. Say hello to the Ontario CB Club, who is listening in right now. Back to you.
Well, hello up there, Ontario. Unless it's Ontario, California. If it's that, then that's down south. The other Ontario would be up north. Well, hello to both.
All right, good deal. And as they say, hello, radio, out and counting and amounting on your Old Tube Radio network, going late tonight. All right, you can hear me rattling my papers around. The Old Tube Radio Network. Any other stations before we say, well, I guess goodbye, radio? All right, and the Mr. Announcer steps to the microphone. The orchestra is ready, and then they hopefully do something like this.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
All right, such a fanfare. The current and final OTR, Old Tube Radio totals. You know, I hear that some amateur radio operators actually have OTR in their calls because they are really into it. And Harvey, the Ontario CB Club is up north from the cold country. So is the one we thought they were. SWLs tonight, a total of, that's 18 on page 1, 17 on page 2, 18 on page 3, and 24 on page 4, and that gives me a total of 77. I do believe, if I've done the math. I've done it quickly. Whether I've done it correctly or not, I don't know. And radios tonight. Let's go down the list of 8 radios and all get some really nice classic stuff tonight, along with the favorite, the Tram TR27E from 1963. Thanks to Ed for that. The International Crystal Manufacturing Company CTZ 100 with their external S-meter and speaker combination that matches the unit perfectly. A nice little set. Boy, you've ever seen one of those? Ever heard one of those before? This is the place. Thanks, Cliff. That was a nice radio. A lot of good comments about that from International Crystal Manufacturing Company. The Browning Labs, you just heard it back on a voyage that it seemed to be much better than the 3-hour tour of before. The R2700, the receiver, the 23S9, that's where we were listening to the transmitter, sounding pretty good. Harvey will do some more testing, and I think he said we'll get to evaluate it again next week before it goes to wherever it's going. Maybe we'll hear it there. From World Radio Labs, Globe, WRL, but this is the Hustler from Joe. Their 23-channel receive, 8-channel transmit CB radio in blue. Thanks for Radio 4. Radio 5, Joe on his E.F. Johnson Messenger 2 TWO, followed by the Messenger 223, the modified TWO that a lot of people liked. Radio 5 and 6 respectively. Ed on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III. Sounding good, and moments ago on the Browning Golden Beagle, I think. No, the Beagle, I'm sorry, the Browning Golden Beagle R68 T68. Most heard manufactured tonight, E.F. Johnson with 2, and the Browning Golden Eagles with 2. And doing a nice job. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by, staying up late. And as Roy used to sing, Happy trails to you. How do I know that? I may have had to sing that before sometime. So we'll ride away on our respective tubed horses, and we will gather again next week, hopefully. Same tube time, same tube channel, 27085 in the Central Valley of California. In the meantime, get on the radio wherever you might be. If you are studying for your amateur radio license, to get on the air first. Now is a great time. Bands are good. A lot of great people out there, not too crowded. If you are looking for an upgrade, please do that. We'd like to talk to you. We've got a nice Voodoo audio group on 40 meters here on the West Coast. If you can get into that, lots of nice people. And if you are into the audio thing, a lot of knowledgeable people on the things you can do to make your system sound the best it can. Otherwise, do what you do, and we'll catch you back next week on the Old Tube Radio Network 73, everybody.
Thanks, Dennis, and good night.
Or, as Richard said, join them down on 7235. In fact, we talked to Brian not too long ago. He came down to 7199. A nice guy. He runs, I don't know if it's a swap, what the exact name of what they do on the net, but there's a swap, and that's at least every weekday morning here on the West Coast. So 73, everybody, your Old Tube Radio Network.
Good night, Dennis, and thank you very much.
Yeah, working good, sounding good, and I don't know. Ovaltine just doesn't sound good. If there's more of that juice, I may go get some of that. I'm going to wander over to the green room. Catch you all later.
Good night, Dennis. K6USY.
Yeah, as they say on that two-way radio thing, over KB6GFD.
Over in Ovaltine, K6USY.
If you're still monitoring, come back.
Pélate, carnal. Escuché, precisamente de 10, estaba comentando con alguien ahí que que ya no sé, no supe por qué, pero como que ya no. El barrendero, ¿no? Pues, ¿qué es?
¿Cómo?
Hey, you heard me. Hello, Dennis.
Yeah, let's see, I'm still up on the stream. I thought I could catch you because 40 meters has been good. So I got to change my antennas and go to the back of the radio, and maybe I'll catch you 40 meters direct. But right now, I'm hearing you on the 11 meter setup here. So that's a wire. You're sounding good. Over.
Okay, Roger, I know there's a delay here. I'm kind of listening to you via the internet, and I don't hear anything direct, but that doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just listening to you, but I'm not direct because I have to go and switch some antenna connections to get back into the amateur radio mode. So I'm set for OTR, but I do hear you. So that's not a bad thing. I know 40 has been being open good. All right, if you're around in 5 minutes or so, I might try a contact. It takes me a while to get everything unhooked and rehooked here. Over.
Yeah, it is. It's very good. Okay, you don't have to. It's just the path is there, it seems, so that's very good. Okay, K6JM, I'm standing by. I'll be listening for a while if you decide to.
About the same copy on Braun as that you do.
He comes in strong, and then the band does whatever it does, and it fades. But let me give it a try. Kilo Alpha 7 Romeo Oscar November. You copy Alpha Charlie 7 Yankee. This is Pete Pop Echo Tango Echo out of Reno. Go ahead. Yeah, I hear you. The band's up and down. I got you doing a 5.7, then you drop down like a 5.3. The band's just shifting all over the place. But yeah, I got you. You're sounding okay. What's going on tonight up there in Vancouver, Washington?